But the way people cannot refrain from telling you that the Trop sucks, as if it takes a genius to come up with that conclusion, like they just on such an elevated level of thinking. Like, let me tell you that your little dome, it's actually the worst stadium. It's like, I mean, again, it's not that bad. Hello, everybody. I'm back. And guess who else is back? The Trop's roof. This week, I believe it was Thursday, she got the final panel put on to the top of the roof. I believe 24 panels. And honestly, they started in August. So I think they made impeccable timing. And not only that, a lot of people are saying, like, what took so long? I mean, there are a lot of steps to get that roof back on. Like, it's not a quick fix, but if they physically started putting it on in August and they finished before the end of November, I think that's pretty good. But that was the big news pretty much this week, is that the symbol of what was Hurricane Milton, unfortunately, was Tropicana Field, did get her roof back on from the outside. She looks just like she did a year plus ago, which is it's a weird feeling because I feel like I avoided seeing the Trop for a very long time after the hurricane hit. I don't live in St. Pete, and so I avoided that area. It felt like for a few months. Obviously, I had seen pictures. I have friends that live there who were sending me pictures, but to physically see it in real life, I didn't want to do it. I finally did, obviously, but and then I've since been, as they've been putting the roof panels back on, and let me just tell you, it went from sad, like I was sad, it's sad, but then it went from holy crap, there are these guys up on the roof. They look like little tiny ants, just up there doing their thing. Obviously, they have all the harnesses that they need and stuff, but just if you ever drove past there, like especially on the interstate ramps, and looked up at them, my gosh, like shout out to them. And I know I've said in the past, like I really hope that they get their flowers at opening day or at the home opener for the Rays. And I truly mean it. I mean, what what a job. Like first of all, career, I guess, to do that, but they played such a big role in getting us back, and I would hope that they have plans to have them on the field and just give them a round of applause. Even me thinking about it, like I just know I'm gonna be like joke that I'm not an emotional person. I'm really not, but I think when the home opener comes, as excited as I will be, and I am right now, like there's a little bit of sadness on thinking about the last 12 months plus, and then, everything that's gone into getting us back in the drop. So I'm looking forward to it, but also I just know it's going to be a moment for sure. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. We're all going to have different waves of emotions when we step back into the trop in April 6th to be exact. Manfred also came out and said that, actually ahead of schedule, they're making incredible progress, like I was saying. And then, like I mentioned before, we're getting a lot of new things like new turf, new padding, new flooring, the renovated seats or suites, and the seating being changed a little bit. That's all what I heard before. I will mention again, for those worried, the air quality test came back clean. The air quality test came back clean. Breathe easy, if you will. um, so also speaking about the Trop, there was some discussion on Twitter this week about Rocky Point being a potential location for a stadium for the Rays. And I haven't heard this anything beyond what sounds like speculation, but just no real source yet. But I have heard Rocky Point. I mean, when you think about it, the owners came out and they said, this is what we want. We want 100 plus acres. We want to do this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. So a lot of people went and found a bunch of parcels that match what the new owners want. And one of those months ago, back in August, was Rocky Point. I mean, I think it fits kind of the baseline criteria of what this new ownership group wants. However, I don't think that that was like that's something that they're zeroing in on, but they're also going to have what I feel like. So I'm not a fan of Rocky Point. Also, actually, before I even go on, I just want to say I don't like being, beggars can't be choosers, and I don't like sticking my nose up to different options. Like, I'm just glad that it seems like a new stadium is in our future. Like, that in of itself, I am grateful for. So I don't want to sound too snobby, I guess, about like where I think it should be. But when I think about Rocky Point, I would prefer, and when I think about other locations around the Bay Area that I don't prefer, it's not because I want to stick my nose up and be like, no, that's not going to work. It's just that if they're going to do it and they're going to put in all of these resources and they're actually going to get it done, I just feel like I would prefer them to do it in a place where they're going to maximize their return on investment, where it's not going to be not necessarily a mistake, but could have, should have in the future. And so I feel like a spot like Rocky Point is one of those to me where I feel like, okay, but you could have done XYZ. Now, I've become a fan of the HCC Del Mabry campus, and I don't even think that's because I necessarily live close by. I just really have a dream of having a sports corridor in Tampa. Like, that to me was never something I had ever considered. I mean, with all of the back and forth with St. Pete and all of those things, and Ybor was always kind of like the location in Tampa that was going to be considered or the front runner or whatever. So like the thought of a sports corridor never once crossed my mind, but now that I've heard about it and heard about where the location could be and just going by there so many times this year to go to Steinbrenner, like in my head I can see what it looks like. And so for me that's where I would like to have it. I think there's just issues that you run in with those other locations, be it the fairgrounds or Ybor being maybe a little too tiny. But again, and Manfred came out and said that the Rays are, and Babby, what was that, last week or the week before? Babby's still saying they're still telling us that they're learning the land, the lay of the land and what's possible and stuff. And I do think that's the PR statement that they're giving us all. I don't think that I'm nervous that we haven't heard more about like specifics or anything like that. Like even someone bringing up Rocky Point on Twitter was just kind of okay, like okay, and we still don't know at what point in the process they are. They keep telling us Manfred this week and Babby last week saying we're looking at all options. We're doing feasibility assessments, all of those things. Like I again, when they bought the team, I knew that that wasn't the case. Like I knew as in I'm assuming that someone who drops that much money, that amount of money isn't just getting to the drawing board once they were handed the keys. They were doing kind of whatever was allowed up until that point. So again, all I just want to say is beggars can't be choosers. That's definitely true. But I also think that, hopefully, I hope that that they end up going with the place that makes the most sense if they can. But also, I think that they are at least a couple more steps ahead than the public realizes. When they want us to know something, we will know. But for now, we're just going to get these blanketed PR statements, and it is what it is. Okay, so let's talk about the different things that happened this week, a few different things. So they had a deadline to protect your Rule 5 guys from the Rule 5 draft. So you had to make room on your 40-man roster to do that. And the Rays ended up protecting 3 players, and we'll get to them in a second. The biggest kind of name I feel like that we heard about this week was Christopher Morel. He was officially designated for assignment and non-tendered. And, it's a tough move because I don't think any of us had a problem with Christopher Morel. Like, that was a guy that you rooted for. Not that you don't root for other guys, but he was just such this infectious personality. He was a great clubhouse guy. He was obviously Junior's best friend. So you're wanting the best for him, and it just like never happened both years that he was with the Rays. I think maybe playing at Steinbrenner hurt him a little bit and then just kind of hurt the confidence that he had in himself and just could never get going. And then it got to a point in the season where he wasn't playing enough. So I don't feel like the consistency was ever going to happen because he just, there was actually one little run, I want to say in like August or September, where he was playing a little bit more consistent and he was doing okay, but still what we expected from that trade and what happened didn't pan out, and that really, really stinks. But was it a surprise? No, I don't think, especially because we're going to talk about the outfield again, especially with the outfield having those issues that they have currently. Like, they just can't. I do feel like they're already taking a chance on so many guys that they currently have in the outfield. I just don't think they could do it with Christopher again, unfortunately. Jake Fraley was also non-tendered, but he was told by the Rays that they do want to bring him back if that is something that he is interested in, obviously at a lower salary. So we'll have to see what happens with that. He's a gritty guy that the Rays have always kind of had a connection with throughout his MLB playing career. My biggest concern with him is he is a little fragile. He's had about 13 stints, and again, just given the concern that we all have and everyone is talking about this off season with the outfield, it's just kind of like it's hard to take more chances, I guess. And Forrest Whitley, he was released. He was granted his release to go pitch in Japan. I just see this as someone who, unfortunately, a great depth piece. He was impressive in Durham, and just that life of being someone, a fringe pitcher, no options, those kind of things. It's a tough life. So if he knows he can go out to pitch in Japan, he clearly weighed his odds, and I think I don't know. I wish him the best. He's going to Japan to play. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but that is also where Bob Seymour went to play. Unfortunately, though, the Bob Seymour Club will be domestic here in the United States. We will be cheering from afar. But if we ever make it over there, I'm sure that we would get the crowd going with our infamous Bob chants. So the three players that the Rays protected, the three prospects, were catcher Dominic Keegan, infielder Jadier Arenamo, and right-hander Alex Cook. Someone that the Rays are hoping. I mean, I actually feel like this is very premature to say like, oh, he's going to fix the catching nightmare that we've had, or catching curse is what I called it last time. But there is some promise there. He did miss some of the season with some elbow pain, but still, keeping him in their back pocket is just something I think that they are hoping pans out because, like I said, we have struggled. We all know we've struggled with the catcher's curse, and we'll see. We'll see what his future entails. But obviously, everyone looks to expect a lot from him. Jadier, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Jadher, I know Arenamo, but anyway, what I love about this kid is that he's got, all of these accolades in terms of like he makes great contact. He's known for a little bit of a funky swing. He doesn't strike out a lot. And I just you know how I am. I used to really like the whole like vibes coordinator type situation. I've kind of stepped away from that role and talking about it too much. But when you have someone who is known for his infectious personality, immediately my favorite. I mean, like infectious personality one, and then all of those other things I listed come second. Just because I think that's telling of someone. If like you're a professional baseball player and you've got all of these great accolades, but also one worth mentioning is that you're pretty cool and likable. I think that's super cool. So, not an immediate piece, obviously, for the Rays, but a future piece, obviously, that they wanted to protect. And then Alex Cook. So, I don't personally know too much about him. I think some of my pitching friends do like him. He's got a fast fastball. He hits 99 and he gets a lot of whiffs on his slider, so works for me. But I'll have to learn more about him coming up. So there were also some moves this week. I covered a little bit of it on my TikTok, but not in depth by any means. So Everson Pereira and Tanner Murray were traded to the Chicago White Sox. If you remember, we did get Everson for Jose Caballero. In return, we got Yoendris Gomez and Steven Wilson. Now, I do know that Gomez could be looked at as kind of a multi-innings guy, which I think they were in need of, so that is good. And then Steven Wilson, another guy that the Rays have liked for a long time, another guy that a lot of my pitching friends like. Long-term target for the Rays. He's got a 3-pitch mix in mid-threes ERA in his career. So he is a reliever, and honestly, it seemed like a pretty good trade for the Rays. I'm not really sure what the White Sox were looking for out of that, but anyway, nice doing business with ya. And then we also traded Tristan Gray, which I became a big Tristan Gray fan probably in definitely the second half of the season. I became a big Tristan Gray fan for whatever reason, but he has been traded to the Red Sox for Luis Guerrero. So Guerrero throws very hard, but I do remember, now that I've circled back and looked him back up, he's got very wobbly command. So we need some fine tuning there. However, he does not take up a spot on the 40-man roster because he was DFA'd. So we got some room to work there. I do know, I did look this up before coming on, he has been playing for the same team that Junior plays for in the Dominican Winter League. Gosh, the name is escaping me. But he is also hitting 99 there. That would be Josie hitting my camera. So anyway, not an immediate spot, but again, kind of a good, no longer needed Tristan Gray. In terms of, I saw some people talking about Tristan Gray being like a depth piece for the Rays, but not really. If you saw the way 2025 shook out, it just happened that way, but long term, that was never going to be part of the plan. Anyway, I digress. And then Eric Orzi, okay, I liked Eric Orzi. I do feel like I almost felt like he died mid-season or something. It was just like every time I expected to see him called up, he never was. And then I was like, are we sure he's okay? But I think the way that the roster shook out this year and the way arms were kind of up and down, he was overexposed by that. And I think the Rays unfortunately saw enough of what they needed to see from him to know that they're okay parting ways with him. So in turn from the Twins, he did get Jacob Kisting. He was only 22 years old and kind of on a starter development track. So that's something that I think for an Eric Orzi kind of makes sense. But I do know people did like him. So wish Eric the best as well. I don't know. I feel like he was like not a ghost, but like ships passing in the night almost is how it felt like. Okay, so as I said, we non-tendered Morel and Fraley, possibly could sign Fraley back for less if he's interested. And then we tendered pretty much everybody else, which everyone on that list kind of made sense. The only one that I'm just kind of surprised about, if you will, is Josh Lowe. Only because I don't know how to say this. Like, I know the Rays are banking on him having a bounce back season or banking on whatever he's doing in the off season to pay off. But it's just like a lot of chances, if you will. I mean, 2023 was spectacular, but then 2024 was lackluster, and then last year was obviously lackluster. And when he went down with the oblique injury, like right off the bat, no pun intended, opening day, it was kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm losing patience with J-Lo because I do like him, but I'm also losing patience with J-Lo. But anyway, the outfield situation is a crisis, and we do have to figure it out. I mean, they ranked bottom tier in offense. We all know it. I talked about it last time. And the Rays are going to be the Rays, which I know they're going to be. They're going to bank on what I feel like is some depth that they have currently. I mean, they're going to hope that Josh Lowe has another like a bounce back. They know or they expect or they feel that there's more there, so they're going to believe in him. Johnny DeLuca only played 20 games last season, which is so painful to say. But obviously, you could consider that a fresh start is coming if he comes into spring healthy, if he plays more consistently throughout the season. Like, right, you kind of have to take the chance on that because he was hurt last season. And if he can stay healthy, it's like a whole new player, if you will. Not that he's changed or anything, but you get someone for more than 20 games. So you have to bank on that. But they're also doing that with Richie Palacios. Same kind of thing, expecting better health, hoping that he can get over the 20 game mark. We're believing again, and I said that in the last episode. This is a lot of believing. With Mangum and Simpson, I mean, we know what it is, the small ball, the speed, but like they've only, it makes me sad to say, but like they're here because everyone else fell down. Kinda. Right? Like the fact that both of these small ball players who are really fast are on the same roster and playing in the same outfield is because everyone else went down. I said last time, like, how long can you have both of them in your lineup? But okay, also, sorry, I want to say that that doesn't mean that they can't get better offensively or like Chandler defensively. Like, it's not that they can't improve, but at the end of the day, you kind of just know what kind of ball players they are on your roster. That's what I mean. I like them both. I've never said really anything bad about either one of them. It's just big picture. I don't know if you can have all of that mix that I just said on the same lineup. Wow, I like stuttered or had a lisp or something. So sorry. So we also added Ryan Valade. I did learn how to say his last name. He is out of options. He flashes the bat. He's got versatility. So sorry. We'll see what he does. We'll see what he does. And Fraley, we'll see if he wants to come back. I don't even know if you can say come back. Like, he literally did the meme where you like walk through the door and then walk back out. But if he wants to sign like a smaller deal with the Rays. Now, free agents. Do I want to tell you that the Rays are going to go out and get some huge name brand free agent? I would love to tell you that. And I think reading in between the lines of Eric Neander, like, I don't know, you can maybe, if you're hoping that the Rays go and make a splash, you can maybe take some of the things that he has said and morph it into, oh, he's definitely going to go out and sign a big bat. Or you can also read it as he's banking on all of those guys I just listed, and maybe they sign, maybe they don't sign anyone, or maybe they sign just like a small boost. But when you hear words like, when I hear names like Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, Bader, I almost don't even want to waste my time thinking about those scenarios because I just don't think that they're likely as much as I want them to be true. It's not like I'm trying to be a Debbie Downer because I'm usually pretty positive, but I just think if you're setting the bar so freaking high when you've been told the payroll isn't changing, we're going through all of this stuff like off the field, and we have honestly some outfield depth. I just feel like that's an equation to have your feelings hurt or like your hopes let down. Not really. I don't personally want to do that. However, on the flip side, if they were to sign someone huge, then like it would be exciting and then no one would be upset. Oh my god, I just bit my tongue. However, there are some other names out there. Tauchman. I tweeted about it, but honestly, here's what I'll say. I think the Rays will sign someone. I just don't think it's going to be a big splash. I don't think that they have a ton of trade options. Their depth is kind of low. Like, if you're needing an outfielder, I do feel like we have a little bit of depth there, a little bit. And it all depends on freaking health. So, like, is that depth if you have to depend on health? I don't really know. However, depth elsewhere is low. So, you're not going to move big bats. I think Yandy Diaz literally every day. Every day, Yandy Diaz is a rumor. It always exists, the Yandy Diaz rumor, the Brandon Lau rumor, but I don't know if for what we need, there's another team that kind of values Yondy in the same kind of way so that we could get what we need. So I don't see the trade option there either. And here's the thing. I don't have the exact Neander quote, but this could hurt some feelings and I'm sorry. But basically he said they aren't chasing an elite bat at all costs. And here's the part where you might not like. Could boost output by defense instead. And all of those guys I mentioned, Lowe, DeLuca, Palacios, Mangum, except for maybe Chandler, all provide good defense in the outfield. And I don't want to have to keep I don't want to keep having to use this as an example, but in the same way that the Rays prioritize Mr. Walls' defense, I could see them making a case for why a healthy outfield as it is right now is valuable, if that makes sense. Because the Rays prioritize defense, and I don't hate them for it, but we're all searching for a power bat, a bat with some pop, and if, like he said, if they cannot go out and chase in a bat because they're not going to do it at all costs, they very much might be trying to sell the dream of defense. Don't shoot the messenger. I feel like I'm being negative and I don't want to sound like I'm being negative, but I just feel like don't get your hopes up. Or lower your expectations. Somewhere in the middle of those two things. A couple other things. Oh, I already mentioned, but Yoendris Gomez, he also lives in Tampa or has like an off-season home in Tampa already, and he trains here in Tampa. So, good for him. Welcome home, if you will. Also, I don't know if you watched it. I only watched the clips of the different like social media posts and stuff like that of the MLB Open. The first ever MLB Open, David Price and Ryan Pepio were paired up together to represent the Rays. They ended up finishing 7th. That's fine. That's fine. I haven't swung a golf club in so long. I used to play competitively, believe it or not. Fun fact about me. I have not swung a club in so long that 7th place sounds spectacular to me. So good for them. And if I have time or if I can find it, I do actually want to watch. I know that they shot it like during the week and then aired it over the weekend, but I got to go and find it somewhere. More news out of this week. Kevin Kiermaier soliciting a job. So he posted a video on Twitter. I almost called it its legal name on Twitter. And he basically is soliciting teams to hire him for week-long stints to help revolutionize their outfield defense. How do I say this in a way that's okay. I just feel like a man who won a World Series ring last year and a man who worked for a team whose team went to the World Series this year, a man who was part of MLB for years. I question the thought of him posting this video on Twitter. And that's all kind of that I have to say about that. And then also, Kevin was such a, he was a web gem in terms of those plays that he made in the outfield. We all know that. We've all seen it. We've all watched it. I just wonder if he can teach that. Like, is it even something, I don't know. It's like one of those cases of like, was a really good or didn't play so well in the sport, turns around is a great coach. I don't know. And then vice versa, was really good at the sport, turns around and can't coach. I don't know. Interesting to see if anyone picks him up to do that. I also spent some time this week in watching The Rise of the Rays. I don't know what prompted me to watch it. I think I was told years ago, like I think it came out in 2023. I was told back then to watch it and I just was like, I'll get around to it. The list of things I need to watch, baseball related and not baseball related, books I need to read, baseball related and not baseball related, is so freaking long. Honestly, I tell myself that's what I'm going to do every off season is like, oh, I'm going to catch up on all of these shows that everyone's told me to watch. Oh, I'm going to catch up on it's just hard. It's a lot. And I'm not like someone who turns on the TV like unless the Rays are on. Isn't that crazy? I wish I did. Like I wish I knew what people were talking about when they're like, "Oh, did you see I hear overhear people at work talking about like, "Oh my God, did you see that last night?" And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" But anyway, I did watch The Rise of the Rays done by WEDU and I thought it was really well done. I think for me personally, I was not alive during all of this. And honestly, thank God, because I mean, I guess I wouldn't have known how much of a fan I would have become of the Rays, but just to like the back and forth and the years and years and years, that would have been so I couldn't imagine. And I feel like I've gotten a glimpse of that through the stadium sagas that we've been through in the last decade, but to actually get a team and then to see that we could have been so many other teams, the White Sox, the Giants, the Mariners, and then we kind of just like stayed put and we got a team. Like we held out for so long through the BS, if I may. And we were able to get our own team. We weren't going to take over another franchise. And I don't know. I feel like that's foreshadowing of like probably what's happened this last year and years before, with the stadium saga and with Stu and all those things. Like it's been so disheartening at times and, questioning like the future of the franchise and just the back and forth. And similarly to them trying to get a team, like the back and forth, the being told no, the being told like this is what you're going to get and you're going to like it type situation. To finally like come out on the other side of that, I was a little, it seemed like a nice foreshadowing piece. It wasn't meant to be because obviously when they did this, it was like 2 years ago. But I thought it was nice. And then also there was a lot of footage of the Trop in her early days. And like I spoke at the beginning, like she she's been through a lot and it was interesting in the doc. There were, videos and pictures of her being built and then you can kind of look outside these last few months and see her being rebuilt again. She got a lot of slack. I mean, my Twitter was just full of people telling me, like, well, it's still a dump. You can only put so much lipstick on a pig, like all of these things. Every trash can needs a lid. And I mean, you name it, although it's like the same five responses every single time. And honestly, my favorite is when they tell you, like, you should go and look at other stadiums so that you know, like, it stinks. It's like I've been to plenty of other stadiums at this point to know that, like, actually, if anything, it just puts in perspective to me that it's not that bad. Like, if I had only been to the Trop and then went to another stadium for the first time, I would literally expect every stadium to be like a Taj Mahal, to be the best of the best. And they're all nice. They all also have their quirks and they all get the job done. And if anything, like I said, going to so many other stadiums has taught me that the Trop actually isn't that bad. And the new ownership group is saying that they're going to come out and they're going to put some improvements into her in various different ways. So it's like I'm even more eager to get back to the Trop because I want to see her with like the nicest lipstick that you could possibly find, and that's okay. But the way people cannot refrain from telling you that the Trop sucks, as if it takes a genius to come up with that conclusion, like they just are on such an elevated level of thinking. Like, let me tell you that your little dome, it's actually the worst stadium. Like, I mean, again, it's not that bad. And I understand, and I've talked before that I have bias because I grew up going there. Like I've been going there for nearly three decades. Oh my God. But again, she's not that bad. And don't knock it until you try it. Because I guarantee you, so many people in my comments have never been. They just see her and they hate her because she looks like she doesn't look normal and she's not your typical baseball stadium from the outside, but I bet they've never been there. And also, a lot of them were like, I forgot what they said, but I want you to notice when you see a picture of your favorite baseball player, majority of the time, the picture that you see is them at the Trop. Why? Because the lighting is always the same. They don't have to worry about shadows, any of that. A lot of pictures, a lot of still photos come from the Trop. Just saying. Anyway, I did want to end with a little bit of a Thanksgiving full section because this Thursday is Thanksgiving. I am cooking for my family, so starting Wednesday, I can't have any news this week. I can't have anything crazy have this week because cooking for Thanksgiving is like kind of an Olympic sport for me. So, starting Wednesday, I'm on D&D. But anyway, I just wanted to have a thankfulness section, mostly speaking from me personally, but also as Rays fans, what we can be thankful for. So I know for me, I am really thankful that this season of Steinbrenner is behind us. I'm also thankful that that was even an option. I think what's crazy is that I moved to Tampa on a whim, as in I lived in the suburbs after my parents live in Hillsborough County, and I wanted to move to Tampa. And it was like kind of on a whim type situation, yada yada yada. I'm here, and then a year into being here, which I've loved, everything happens with the Trop, and then they announce that they're playing not very far from me. And it was just kind of crazy to be like, what do you mean? Like, what are the chances of this happening? And so I'm thankful in a sense that, like, I got to experience that. I got to walk to games and go to every series that the Rays had at home, quote unquote. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that it's done. I'm thankful that it's over. I'm thankful that the roof of the Trop is back and that they can hit the ground running with getting those improvements done from the inside. I'm grateful for the improvements that they are doing, all of the things that they have listed. I'm thankful that I bought my opening day tickets or home opener tickets. I'm looking forward to that. And then silly, but I'm grateful for Junior Caminero. I know the Rays just posted a pretty cool hype reel of him a day or two ago on TikTok if you haven't seen it. Super good. And just like I've said before, having Junior Caminero a part of this organization and this franchise is super exciting for the future. So shout out to him. I'm also glad that all of my favorites, which they will not be named, are still on my team, and we will get to see them, knock on wood, another season. And then the biggest thing I'm personally thankful for is that I did get to attend the All-Star game and Home Run Derby this year with my dad. We both drove up. We stayed in Atlanta and we went to all of the different events that MLB hosts during All-Star Week, and that was just such a fun experience. The Derby for me was, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better home run derby. I think it's funny because when we sat down to watch the derby in our seats, I was just glad that Junior was there. I was just happy that the Rays had some representation, and I was going to be happy no matter what Junior did. And the first round goes by. The second round goes by, and I'm like, what is happening? And I look at my dad, and the final, as you know, is Cal Raleigh versus Junior Caminero. If you don't know, I went to Florida State University. I covered the FSU baseball team that Cal was on. So go Noles. And then also, obviously, I love Junior Caminero. So go Rays. And I just looked at my dad and I was like, this is like, I couldn't have asked for literally a better final. Like, either way, I'm a winner. And either way, I'm so proud of like both of my favorite things being represented, my school, and then also my favorite baseball team. So, Cal obviously won and ended up having an incredible season and kept the Knowles out there. So that was super cool. And then also just seeing Ras, Bilal, Cammy, and Aranda. I was so happy for Jonathan Aranda, like just so happy he got to experience that because he had such a good season. But you never know if they're going to be rewarded for their good seasons, especially being on a smaller market team. But it was crazy because I think the day after my dad and I came back from the World Series, from the All-Star game, I was just like, yeah, I was getting back into the groove of things because it was the middle of the week and I was so annoyed because this sounds so bratty. I was so annoyed because Target, I had a pickup order and something happened where they like canceled one of my items that I needed. So I, instead of having to do the drive up, I had to actually go inside, which first world problems, I know. And I go inside and I'm going to get the item that they forgot. Oh, it was for Josie, actually, for Josie Siri. And I turn, well, actually, not to sound weird, but I had noticed his wife in the like women's section. And I just thought, like, oh, okay, like, I don't know. Thought to myself, okay, they're back from the All Star game, like, good for them. And because we had just seen them on the red carpet. So I was like, oh, that's definitely her. Anyway, I'm going to get the item and I turn the corner and I see the man bun. And I'm like, oh my God, he's here too. And normally, like, I've run into a lot of players this season at Target because they were playing so close to Steinbrenner. And normally I just mosey on my way. I'm like not someone who's gonna freak out and cause a scene or have you sign anything. I don't know. They're just like normal people using the checkout line. Like it's fine. Anyway, so normally I wouldn't say anything to him, but I was just so happy for him. And I had just seen him in Atlanta. And of course it's me in like my business casual clothes. So like who am I? And he turns around and I get his attention and I'm just like, congratulations, like, good job or whatever. And he just like had the biggest smile and he was just like, thank you. And I was like, no problem. And I went and I got my thing and I left. I had to tell him. I was so, I don't know, it was so fun to see him, like I said, be recognized. And I know that, he probably, I mean, the crazy thing about most race players and Jonathan Aranda, whatever, is that they could literally walk past most people on the street and they wouldn't know who they are. So, I mean, that's kind of nice, I guess, because then they can just like do what they want to do. But for me, I just wanted to shout them out and be like, I know who you are, and I know you just got back from the All Star game, and that's really, really cool and good for you. That was probably like what I was most thankful for this baseball season, just like the whole All Star experience and the stories that came from that. So, anyway, I still feel like we're going to wait to hear what they end up doing about the outfield, right? And some of us are going to have to lower expectations, and some of us are going to maybe, and some of us might actually be wrong and have a positive, you know, look what they did reaction. So we will see what comes of that. And yeah, we're inching closer and closer. The Trop is getting, closer and closer ahead of schedule. So all is good right now. And hopefully, maybe they'll loop us into what their plans are for the new stadium coming soon. That would be like a Christmas gift, if you know what I mean. Maybe